Here's my review of the 3-drawer longer option buffet. The drawers, 2 of them work fine. The 3rd one sticks. That's even getting worse. You can see a gap on this side. I think it's because the railing that gets installed in here on this side is higher than it is on this side where there's no gap. The hinges are also not the greatest because you can't adjust them, and the doors didn't go on exactly straight. So this one kind of hits at the top, and this one kind of hits the other door when it closes. So it arrived in 2 boxes. The taller box had the top and bottom pieces, and the shorter box had the smaller pieces and the hardware. I did assemble this by myself. It took approximately 8 hours, I want to say, but I did it over 2 days and took breaks and took my time reading the instructions or looking at the pictures on the instructions. There were 2 places where it would have been nice to have a second person. One is when I just had the frame together and it was laying flat, and I had to like turn it upside down to put the bottom on it, and it felt like it was gonna fall apart as I was tipping it. And the other time was putting the door fronts on and trying to get the hinges on there while holding the door. Otherwise, everything else was manageable with one person. The instructions are only pictures, no written instructions, and they fit a lot onto each step or each page, so you have to really look carefully, and that is why it took me so long to install this. If I had to do it again, I would do a few things differently. Some of the steps were out of order, just in my opinion, but take the hinges, for instance. The hinges on the outsides were installed at the same time as you were installing like the frame, which made sense to me. But then they saved the inside hinges here for after like almost everything else was installed. It was one of the last steps, and that was a pain in the butt to install those hinges with tiny little screws with that board in a vertical position. So I would have switched that up, and when I was working on that particular board, I would have installed the hinges on that while it was laying flat versus after it was already on the cabinet. They also have the drawers saved until last, but I did install, I skipped ahead and I assembled the drawers, and I tried them inside before I put the top on it, just to make sure that they would slide. And that's when I found out that that one side over there did not slide in and out very smoothly. And I tried each of the drawers in that spot, and they all did the same thing. So it is the railing in there, and I didn't really want to re-drill the holes for that side to try to fix it. So my other 2 issues with this are those round cams that go in, and then you put the other little, I forget what they're called, the little bolts in there, and then you turn the cams to tighten them. And on this particular piece, those cams do not tighten very much and are very solidly, I guess, and so things were a little bit wobbly after installing those, which made part of the setup a little bit difficult because it was wobbly. My other thing is the little tiny pre-drilled screw holes. Some of them are missing, and the MDF was soft enough that I was able to push some screws in there and screw in anyway in certain spots, but some places the pictures showed, like on the railings, for instance, for the drawers, it showed 3 screws on each railing, but there were only 2 pre-drilled holes, and trying to go into a vertical space like that and just make a new hole with a screw would have been difficult. And again, I didn't want to get out my drill and drill any more holes. And there were other holes that were missing as well. And then the ones that were there, the the pre-drilled hole itself was a little bit too large for the tiny screw, and it was also too shallow. So the screw was like wobbling in there, and so a lot of the screws went in crooked because that hole was too big around and too shallow to get that screw to go in the right way. So that is my review.